What are we talking about? Did we make up our minds yet? No?
I don't know if anyone has any good topics for actually doing podcasts, or more topics for what about the
I would
organization.
say that theory capitalism, but we have discussed that in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot lately about, the idea of lesser of two evils or the greater of two goods. Because, when we
Yeah,
were
especially voting for Hillary or Trump. well,
yeah, like whenever we've talked about
I mean, right now I'm thinking, okay, what is the worst poison here? I'm like,
yeah,
I shouldn't have to think
WSD,
like
what do
that,
you got against Hillary?
huh?
What do you got against Hillary?
She's not honest,
Oh, dude, man, you've been watching Fox News. They'll throw
huh?
everything at her.
no, I don't think WSD's been watching Fox News.
No,
Well, I mean,
I ain't been watching Fox News.
what is she dishonest about?
Well, the email thing,
She's not.
and she was against, and she was for the Iraq War.
All right, well, that's all right. That's a valid point. Okay,
You know, all
but that's not about
Republicans and
dishonesty.
Democrats
Yeah, but then again,
together.
if it wasn't, let's say, if this wasn't a swing state, I wouldn't vote.
I don't know. Hillary's got I don't know if you've looked at the Democratic platform,
Yeah, I
but it's got,
still have
dude, it's
no
got like
idea,
free
no
college
idea how
education.
she beat Bernie if Bernie's more qualified for the job.
Well, that's
He's more
politics. I
qualified
hear.
than he's more qualified than Hillary. Definitely more
No,
qualified than
what are you
Trump.
kidding? He's not more qualified than Hillary. Hillary was Secretary of
Bernie Sanders.
Hillary was a Secretary of State. You know, she was like a first lady. You know, she was a senator also. How does now Bernie is not nearly as qualified.
He's been doing this for 40 years. How is that not qualified?
Hillary's been doing this since for decades too.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, she's not. What she's saying, she's not as honest as
That
Bernie, and she's not.
WSD again. The Republicans will repeat that mantra, and some of us buy into it. No, tell me how she's been dishonest.
Okay, why did she show me the leaks on her email?
What
Why
what
is that?
what has been she been
The
dishonest about?
emails she had.
What what what
Why is that so secret?
what specifically has she said about that you feel she hasn't been forthright about?
I don't feel like when you got secret emails on a personal server, that tells me you're up to something.
I don't think they were.
It tells me you're up to it tells me you're up to something. It tells me you're for the establishment.
I don't know. Again, like they had a Republican conduct the FBI director, a Republican, said, all right, she was careless, but she didn't break any laws.
That's still man. I just don't trust her.
I'm telling you, that's because like the Republicans have been like,
I'm
just
not listening to those
blitzing.
Republicans because I know how dishonest they are.
Well, I mean, you might have been listening to some Bernie supporters. I mean, I was for Bernie for a while, and you might have been hearing that from some Bernie supporters. But
Hello?
again, it's unfounded. I mean, like
Hi,
she
Quay.
basically. I mean, politicians tend to kind of like be very careful with their language. But this whole meme about Hillary being no, that's like the same people who are in the Republicans who deny climate change. They made this stuff up.
Hey, Quaid just
Yeah,
joined,
what I'm
guys.
saying,
Yeah,
Hi.
Quaid, when I saw your message, I added you, and you just got in on a argument between George and WSD about Hillary Clinton.
I
Yeah,
just don't
Well,
trust,
I
man.
think I
here's the.
heard that.
I mean, I am not going to vote for Hillary, but I don't hate Hillary. I think it's 2016, and we got to a point where this current generation, the millennial generation, they're not satisfied with the status quo. So
Yeah,
in
like
terms
I
of
said, Hillary, to
uh,
me, she hasn't done nothing to earn my vote. To be honest,
Hillary, Hillary is a typical Democrat. I don't think she's any better or worse than, let's say, Bill or or even JFK. Okay, let's
but
put
at
it
the
that
same
way.
time, I don't want Trump to win
She's
But
because
advocating
that's where
free
that's
college.
where it goes
right.
sideways.
But
Right.
I'm saying,
She's
but
advocating free college and
she's
expanding
also a
healthcare.
big supporter of big
Wait a minute,
business.
that's Bernie saying
She
that.
Sort of.
supported a lot
Bernie
of
said that.
bills that were related to expanding the military. She is not anti corporation.
She's for the TPP. Yeah,
She's for the TPP. She's back. She's gone back and forth on the TPP. She's very moderate, conservative.
She's awful.
Yeah, because when you talk back and forth like that, I don't feel like I can trust you.
You guys realize that to be a successful Democrat, you can't be like Sanders. In other words, you won't get anything passed through the Republican Congress, and you'll get a lot of people
and that's the problem.
Not voting for you. So
that's the problem.
But what I'm saying,
why is it that Sanders can't never win? Why is it that he had the election stolen from him? What due to her shady practices?
He didn't see what shady practice? What are you talking about? She won that. I mean, basically Sanders didn't contest the southern states, and Hillary, got this lead. The super delegates, fine. The super delegates is like where I think it was unfair, but she didn't create that system.
Well, her and the DNC also had already agreed years ago that she was who they wanted. That seems nefarious to me, to kind of set up that system where you're not going to listen to other people. You're not going to go with the best ideas or listen to other candidates. You're basically going to make us vote for one person. Seems wrong to me. I'm not.
Well, you can't blame her for that. You can't blame her for that because, No,
it was a collaboration between her and the DNC.
I know, but can you blame her for collaborating with the DNC on that?
No, we can't blame anyone.
Yeah, I
can't blame anyone, remember?
Free will doesn't exist. We can't blame anyone.
Exactly.
Right, okay, yeah, so that's fair. But in terms of, if someone holds a gun to your head, you have to say, I need to stop this person in some way. I still think that it's a bad system to set up in which we're not listening to everyone's ideas and really trying to make the person who can fix what is a broken system in a lot of ways and put them as the front runner, but to set up years before one candidate that they're basically going to make people vote for.
But you got to understand also, Hillary's for example, Obama was the first black president. That was major. In other words, when he went against Hillary, that meant something to me, So Hillary, it's not just about her being like Hillary. It's about being the first woman president in a politics that's at least 80% dominated by men.
Hey, Jill Stein is a woman.
Yeah, Jill Stein is a nobody. She's she's so far to the left, nobody's going to vote for her.
I'm going to vote.
Yeah, some people are going to vote for Jill Stein.
Yeah, 2%, 3%. Give me a break.
Yeah.
What if Bernie is her running mate?
It's not going to help her. I mean, the best she could do, she could do a nadir. She could lose the elections for the Democrats. I don't think it's going to happen, but that's the best case scenario for her.
Yeah, I might get some guff about this, but I do have to be honest. In terms of having a president who is trying to implement the best system that we possibly can. Now, again, like you had just said, she's for free education, which I think is great. Doing things like that
she
will
didn't say that until Bernie said it, but keep in mind.
Yeah.
Good point.
She still said it, and
right.
I understand that people will say.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is she gonna stick by
it? Who knows? But that's the way politicians are. But they I understand. People say that Bernie moved her to the left, and they use that as kind of oh, that's a good thing. No, that's a bad thing that she had to be moved that way. But past that, it still means if you're going to consider her not implementing a system in which college is free and not even saying she's going to do it and saying she's doing it, one is better than the other. Saying that she's going to do it is better than not saying it. That increases the likeliness that she will do it if she actually says it. If she didn't say it, then she is in no way obligated to act on it. But past all that, though, I think that there's systemic issues with the government that need to be rectified. I mean, we already know Princeton studies have, there's already been studies that show that how the 1% wants the U.S. to be, they have more control over our system than the average American, and that to me, and if we continue to do this thing where we're battling Republicans and we're just trying to keep them at bay, we're not going to get anywhere. This idea of incrementalism doesn't seem like the best tactic to me when global warming is right around the corner. It's not something we can't meet halfway on global warming. Like
I
we need.
fully agree with Quaid.
Oh yeah, I
If we
agree on
keep on
that.
doing and will, if we keep on doing this lesser of two evils thing, we'll never
Yeah.
have change.
I agree with both of you, and but like in turn, that's the problem, right? The solution, there's two possible solutions. One is like first we have to take the House, because if we don't take the House this year and the House remains Republican, not much is going to be done on anything. You know, then
That
like
is that is Trump don't start World
if
War
we hold
Three.
on, WC, if we take the House, we also have to take the Senate. But that's not enough because, like, as Obama found out over these last 8 years, the Republicans will filibuster virtually our entire agenda. So we have to change the filibuster rules to not allow them to do that. And the third avenue doesn't involve, and notice none of these involve the president. This is Congress. But the third option is for Garland, whoever's going to be our next Supreme Court justice, with the progressive Democrat new Supreme Court to reverse Citizens United and to get money out of politics. Again, to the
Yeah.
extent that money's allowed in politics, you guys are right. Nothing's going to happen. But
Yeah.
those are the two solutions, and end the filibuster are the three solutions. Win back the House. You know, you have to have Congress without a filibuster, and probably get the money out of politics.
I do
Yeah,
have.
I say just real quick, I don't know
Go
who
ahead,
I'm
go ahead.
voting for, so I really don't know. It could be Hillary. I have strong feelings about her and not wanting to vote for her. But I do agree that on some level you have to consider the other candidate, which is Donald Trump, who is very scary and ignorant in a lot of.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So
a vote that's not for
Stupidity,
Hillary
man, can
is a
fuck a
vote for
lot of shit
Trump.
up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but I definitely think that it's something that people need to take seriously and think about when voting.
Yeah, I mean, in New York State, there's no way Hillary's going to lose. But in a swing state, you know, if you're not
Yeah,
voting
like
for Hillary,
Pennsylvania.
that's a dangerous,
Yeah,
move.
I'm in a swing state, so I have to take it very seriously. I wouldn't necessarily
Yeah.
say a vote for somebody else is a vote for Donald Trump because it takes to me when we say it's people already feel really shitty about voting. They already don't want to do it. And to me, to attach the idea that if you don't if you don't put your vote behind someone that I think you should, then you're voting for the other person takes what it really means to support somebody kind of not as serious as you should take it.
Well,
So that's like
Quay, but that's our reality. We're talking about, and to a certain extent, because I agree with you that our country's controlled by big money, and Hillary's
uh-huh.
had to rely on big money to get elected. So, like, this is like the lesser of two evils. I hear you.
Yeah, I would say take it seriously, but I still wouldn't say if you're
Yeah,
not
but
voting
that's
for
what I'm
this person, you're
saying
voting
about
for
her
somebody
also.
else. Because to put to say I support this person needs to mean something. It has to mean something to people. I understand the reality of the situation. I think people need to take that into consideration. I'm not saying that, but to say that if you don't vote this way, you're actually voting for this other person. It's not correct logically. It's not
Black.
actually correct. First
Well,
of all,
no, I mean, come on. It's like pragmatically, if to the extent you're not voting for Hillary, let's say you don't vote
it
at all.
doesn't mean that I'm supporting Trump. It doesn't mean
No,
that I support his ideas. It
I
doesn't
know,
mean
but in other words, like there's this saying, like all that evil needs to prevail in the world is for good people
right.
to do nothing. So in other
Yeah.
words, to the extent somebody doesn't vote or doesn't vote for Hillary, that is kind of like, in a sense, kind of like helping Trump, not directly, but very indirectly. Come
Okay,
on.
helping I would be fine with, but to say that you're voting for that person though is something different.
No, I'm
It's
not.
taking
Nobody's
away
saying
the
you're.
power
Yeah,
of the vote.
Yeah, I get what Quaid is saying. I think I agree here because in a way, when people know you're voting for someone, they think that means that you support that person's ideas and what they stand for. But if the situation is it's like, well, both candidates are bad, but I'm just voting for the lesser bad, then it's still like you're basically admitting this system is stupid and I'm just voting for this person so this other person who is worse doesn't get in. And so it doesn't mean anything anymore, it feels like.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
that's like saying like let's like it didn't mean anything to oppose Hitler and the Nazis. You know,
Well,
fine. The
What?
United States and Britain, they weren't the best governments in the world,
Well,
but
if you oppose
compared to
Hitler
what,
and the Nazis, that doesn't. It's not
wow.
stated as you're supporting someone else or voting for
Yeah,
someone
exactly.
else.
If
You
I
can
don't support the
oppose.
U.S., it doesn't mean I support the Nazis. And it's like if a parent comes up to me and they say like, okay, you can either get your butt whooped with your pants up, but I'm going to use a belt, or you can get your butt whooped with your pants down, and I'll use my hand. And if you don't vote for one, you're actually voting for the other. Really, what you have is this a sadistic parent who doesn't understand that like, I don't actually need to support either of those things. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not one that I should prefer, right? But to actually say that you're choosing the other person when you deny the other one is not, to me, a mental. I don't want to use those specific words because it seems twisted to me in some way.
it's like, all right, back in the 1940s, it would have been morally wrong to stay out of there, to become neutral, to not come to the aid of France and England, you know, in Europe. It would have just been morally wrong. Sometimes when, if there's a fight, you got to be on the right side. To stay neutral is kind of like to help the wrong side have a better chance.
Well, I get what you're saying, George, but here's part of the issue is that, now part of the reason that I'm a pacifist, for example, is because it's sort of like, it's kind of difficult when it comes to this kind of thing because yeah, it's like you want to stop the Nazis, but at the same time, by that same reasoning, I have to kill off all the meat eaters. You realize this, and so it's kind of like what we're talking about is a world full of so much evil that I guess with me, I feel like we really can't make a difference other than through education.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Again, I haven't decided who I'm going to vote for, so I'm not trying to get into a heavy argument about it because it's still possible I could vote for Hillary. But I do consider the voters when I consider a candidate. I got crap for that for saying that. But if people are afraid to make legitimate criticisms about someone, it makes me afraid that the system. I'm also supporting the system in voting for her. And so when people won't acknowledge her flaws in large ways, which Democrats seem to have a problem with, it makes me think that I'm choosing between giving up my rights and a completely insane person, which
Oh,
Donald
but
Trump is.
Quaid, you got to understand the politics. In other words, like, why are Democrats supporting Hillary, hopefully very strongly? Because the Republicans, as they do, they continue to lie about her. Just like
So
they
you
lie
should
about,
lie
just
on the other
just
side there.
like they lie, just as they lie about climate change, denying climate change. There is like a whole, the media, the Koch brothers, Murdoch. These people have like just been spouting lies about Hillary for decades, and they
Hmm.
are lies.
Yeah, yeah, some of them are. And people over exaggerate the claims, but I don't think the solution is to not criticize people. I think that you can still say this person is better than the other person for logical reasons, and still criticize them.
I realize, but the reason is we're
Hmm.
we're in the midst of an extremely important election, and so like if we really want to trounce the Republicans, like we need to, let alone everything else, consider climate change, then it just makes it's very wise to hold off the criticism until after the election, make sure we win big, and then like any kind of like peeves or whatever, then that's the time. That during a very important election, I don't think is the right time to criticize your contender.
This may reveal my ignorance, but I'm not so sure that this election is any more important than any other.
It does reveal your ignorance, too, because like if Trump were to get in as president, that'd be at least another like 8 years till we could address climate change, and we're already a decade or two behind on this.
2 years. Why 8 years? 4 years. Why eight?
Well, no, I mean, generally, like the person wins re-election. So, like, if people are crazy enough to vote for him today, they would be crazy enough to vote for him 4 years from now.
Look. Like, let's say a whole bunch of Democrats vote for Jill Stein. She gets a whopping 20% of the vote. Trump wins. What that means is the Democrats have to become even more liberal if they want to win next time. It also means this nation,
Yeah, like Bernie Sanders,
the
basically.
zeitgeist has switched in a way so that the people have changed. It's indicative of that kind of change. and it will
Yeah.
change both sides of the party. It will mean, generally speaking, politics is becoming more left-leaning. And even if that results in Trump winning now, 4 years from now, the main impact we can conclude it will have is that it will be harder for someone who's incredibly conservative to win. Even in fact, Trump
Assuming Trump
secretly,
doesn't do something foolish.
Trump is a liberal, Democrat, atheist, pro-choice person who is pretending not to be. So even to win as a Republican right now, you can't
Trump
be a
is not a
typical
liberal.
Republican.
You don't go after Mexicans and after women.
I don't think he's a liberal either.
Yeah,
He's
I don't
not
know
a
where he's
liberal.
at. I
He's
think
not.
That
He's not
doesn't.
ultra
Hold on, all
conservative.
this stuff is. Don't you go? You guys know Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been a public figure for
Yeah.
decades. This is not. He is not an honest person. He's a dishonest businessman. This is not who he really is. We know
A crappy
who he really
businessman at
is
that.
because he was one of the biggest advocates for the pro-choice movement. We know who he really is because he has tons and
Donate
tons
to
of
the
friends
Hillary campaign.
We
who are
don't.
liberal Democrats.
We know who he is because he could care less about the poor. Give me a break.
I agree. He doesn't care about the poor. Now, so what I'm saying is, a typical Republican can't even. We're getting to a point where you have to be liberal on either side to be this new transformative figure to election. You have to be a woman or a black guy or a Bernie Sanders or a Donald Trump in order to become president. And we shouldn't be, even if Trump becomes president and is there for the 4 years. We have three branches of the government. He's just the head of the executive branch. We have Democrats and Republicans bickering. Let's not exaggerate about what kind of situation that we're in. I think that the real impact that we'll have is that 4 years from now, we're going to see a huge shift in politics. It's going to be even more crazy. It's going to be even crazier than it was this time around. There'll be no chance for a typical, a typical early 2000s conservative Republican to ever get elected again.
That's
think
what
that's
the Tea Party. That's what the Tea Party thought. Like 8 years ago.
That doesn't make it not true.
Look what happened to the Tea Party. They moved the Republican Party so far to the right that they created this Trump guy. Just so so out there, so like apart from the mainstream. I mean, that's a dangerous. It's very idealistic, great, but in politics, it's a very dangerous strategy.
Well, I mean, being outside of mainstream, isn't that what describes us? Telling the world they have no free will?
Yeah, but we're not politics. We're not like, people's livelihoods aren't dependent upon what, whether we succeed or not.
Yeah, that's the thing about it, George, is that if the world ever depended on me doing things that were any bit less than honest, we'd all be doomed.
Yep.
Because I feel like even though this idealism and being outside of mainstream may not be the way politics goes, the way you're saying it, I just don't know, man. I really
I
think
agree with
that
Chandler. If we're not going to live towards ideals, then what's the point of preserving this?
Well,
Why
so
should I be
but,
preserving
dude,
Agreed.
like,
this kind of horrible, cyclic, evil fucking system? I don't want to promote that.
I'll tell you why. If the Nazis were coming after the rest of us, and they asked Chandler where we were, Chandler wouldn't lie to them. We'd be out of here, dude. I mean, like, fine, it's noble, but it's not a recipe for survival.
actually, I think what would probably happen is I would just refuse to tell them they'd kill me, and you might still have a chance to escape because at least I wouldn't reveal your location.
Well, we could create a different scenario where, like, you would have to lie to save a lot of lives, and like, you would like prefer to be truthful than to save, let's say, a billion lives.
This is sounding a lot like Quaid's butt whooping example from earlier.
No, Chandler. I'm challenging this. In other words, like values, morals, intelligence, knowledge. It's supposed to serve us. We don't serve it. Just categorically. It serves us. There is such a thing as a white lie. If somebody is an artist shows you this like really horrible painting and you like this person, you're not going to say, "Oh, it's really horrible." We care about people. We care about people's feelings.
Yeah, no,
I completely disagree.
Exactly. Actually, I would say it's horrible.
because
completely
I
disagree
think
with
there's
you.
a problem. I feel like there needs to be something, some ideal, something we're stand for, and I don't think that you can just throw out ideals or
I agree.
what you feel is the right thing like that. I just
Exactly. It's cart before the horse. The ideals have to come. Why should I be doing this thing to help preserve these people that aren't worth preserving? Before I do something to help these people have to be worth helping. So if
Oh,
we're not living towards ideals, then nothing, none of it, then it's pointless. See what I'm saying? The whole
but no,
point
you're blaming people for
is
something that's not up to them. Do you
not
think people
blaming. Not blame.
choose to
It's
be
not.
immoral? You're saying
This is
some people, in other words, like
what?
you would be saying that like that basically like the vast majority of humanity isn't worth saving because they're omnivores. They like they torture animals
No,
like
no, no, no.
incessantly. So like I mean, basically you're blaming humanity for what's not in humanity's
What are you
control.
talking about? I'm not
now,
saying
George,
any of
yeah,
that. I'm
now, George,
saying, I'm
now, just hold
saying,
on a
I don't
bit.
believe in this. Like, oh, let's do this bad thing now because it's necessary. That's ridiculous. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm
You,
saying,
you
it,
said you would.
I said what?
You
What
said
did I say?
that you don't want to help people that you said weren't worthy of being helped. I mean, come on.
No, yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah. I didn't, George. Don't. Let's not twist my words around here. Let's make this very clear. What I'm saying is, I want to help change people. So I want these people to live towards ideals. I'm not concerned that much about who they are right now. I'm saying they can become better, and I'm working toward making them better. And the way to make things better is to not be a hypocrite, but to live in a principled fashion and to promote these sort of ideals, these sort of ways that we live our life, not to continually hedge my bets and pick the lesser of two evils and tell little white lies. The goal is to not do any of that and to work towards an intelligent, reasonable, scientific, compassionate society. That's the goal. And I do that not just by saying what we should do, but in my actions, by acting in a manner and leading by example. That this is the way that the world should be. This is the world I want to be, and it's the way I think the world could be. It might become this way, assuming things go in a certain path. That's all I'm saying.
Assuming.
yeah, I agree with Mitch there. I really think that yeah, I really do think that it becomes dangerous when we just throw out ideals and we're like we've totally lost the target. Like we don't even have the target we're shooting for anymore. It seems weird that we're just like always going with the lesser of evils, but never actually going toward the good.
Well, Chandler, that's in other words, like when you defend truthfulness over people's welfare, in a sense, that's what you're doing. And but basically, like if you want to promote the highest ideal, you're going to be promoting happiness. So, like in a perfect world, yeah, everybody could be truthful, everybody could be happy. It's not like that. Sometimes in order to defeat the enemy, we have to have like this intelligence, this secrecy. The enemy can't know what we're doing. I mean, it's not a perfect world. We have to work within it.
I'm
Yeah,
actually agreeing with
I feel
George.
like. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, it worked with mobs in Minecraft and stuff to hide and be secretive in a way. But I think when we're talking about honesty versus lying, I understand people who would be willing to lie in certain situations. But you know what? I feel like I'm really one of those people that I cannot stand to live in a world where lying is acceptable. And maybe I'm more honesty driven than most people, but I just don't feel like I can agree. Like we had that podcast a while back about whether you would lie and say that free will existed, you know, if like your life is in danger or somebody else's life is in danger, and I just feel like that's just such a I just can't agree
But
with that.
there's a big difference between what I might do and what I strive to do. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I lie. I don't like lying though. I lie, but I don't like lying, and I would prefer not to lie. And the reason
Yeah.
I lie is because Sometimes it's because I'm afraid of the because I know the solution, and the solution will result in me being embarrassed or someone else being embarrassed. So I don't do the right thing.
Yeah, and
But I
I'll tell you
strive to
what.
be someone
Yeah.
who does the right thing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Mitch. A person may do things in times of pressure that is not what they strive for. They wish that they could have told the truth and saved lives, for example. But yeah, and I think that's the important thing is yeah, see, this is what I was talking about, when I just mentioned the lesser of two evils, because it gets really, really tricky because you're basically, if you're ever in a position where there's two things that are both really bad, and it's hard to even know which is the lesser of the two bads, then it's one of those things I just can't take it. Like I shatter.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in between you guys. I agree with you. I'm a greater good person. Like I'm a pragmatist. I believe that you have to make. To me, the most moral choice is the one that leads to the most happiness, even if unhappiness is a result of that. The most happiness is what I strive for. But that being said, everybody wants to predict the future. Like everybody knows what Trump's going to do or what Hillary's going to do. And like for me, what it really comes down to is I think there's systemic issues with the DNC, with the Democratic National Convention, and if they're not going to recognize these issues, which as I've had conversations with Democrats and it doesn't seem like they want to at all. Maybe they're just waiting till after the election. But this spans, 6 months ago when candidates were still on the table. Nobody wanted to criticize her. Like for instance, they had that. There was a debate between her and Bernie Sanders, and someone had brought up that she basically assisted in the bailout of fraudulent bankers. Okay,
Exactly.
and her response to that was, "Well, I was sure there in New York when 9/11 happened. It was a complete red herring." And people clapped at that, and people supported it. And nobody. I went to different Democrat websites, like people were saying it like it was a positive thing and weren't pointing it out. When you have things like that, it makes me think that the issue is really systemic, and it makes me reconsider when picking for the lesser two evils, because at that point it's unquantifiable to me. I don't know. I don't know if the Democrats are going to continue down this road where they're not going to actually solve the issues of the system, or they'll come to their senses, or if Donald Trump will pull the push the red button and blow everybody up, or if he'll just peter out and continue to play his jester game that he's playing. It's unquantifiable. Some of these things we can't know. Some of
Guys,
them we can,
wait,
but
wait, I'm not sure it's unquantifiable. Did you see the video of Trump making fun of a disabled reporter? I mean,
uh,
this guy shouldn't go near DC, let alone
so
the
what
White
does that
House.
mean for the future? That means he's gonna like kill disabled people?
It
Like what
means
is
he's
that?
a fucking idiot, a fucking,
Right, yeah,
insensitive
okay.
moron.
Yeah, I understand. And Hillary is a hawkish, conniving. She's an advantageous, hawkish, conniving politician. And so, which one of those is worse? I can lean towards Hillary a little bit, and I understand that. But if people are going to rally around her and continue to support that type of system, I don't actually know which one's more harmful. Just
Oh, Trump,
because,
Trump would nuke a country. Trump, have you heard him
how do
talk
you
about the
know?
Muslims? He's been willing. He's willing to export. What is it? 11 million immigrants. He's willing to like not
How does
allow
that
any Muslims
translate
in the
into
country.
him? How does that translate into him nuking
Oh,
places?
because like he had a crowd, right? And he had like some protester, and he goes
Yeah.
out to the crowd. All right, I want you to punch that guy in the face. I will pay your legal expenses.
How
The
does
guy
that
is
translate into
dangerous.
nuking
That
people?
that kind of personal mindset translates into policy. You think he's different on a sociological level than he is on a personal level?
No, what I'm saying is I don't know that that translates
He
into
did
him.
say that at one of his rallies.
It makes him on some level unsympathetic. It makes him a rabble rouser. It makes him an attention seeker.
He's
I cannot take
irresponsible.
that and say that he would blow up a whole country using a nuke because of that.
He
Maybe it would
would.
happen,
I mean,
but that's not the information that you can use to make that conclusion.
I think, I mean, I can't recall any statements now, but
Yeah, but
he's been
if
he's
him
been really
being the way
bellicose
he is, you
against
really trust him
Islam.
with a nuke?
I'm not trying to
I
support.
think Rubio and Cruz were both worse. Rubio and Cruz are both religious fanatics anti, they are against science, against
Yeah.
intellectualism. These are horrible, horrible, horrible people. There've been
It's
so many.
frustrating.
There've been
Sorry.
so many private rallies that were recorded, where you see how Cruz and Rubio talk to their base. The insane kinds of things they talk about, the xenophobia and racism and sexism and religious zeal. I mean, that's really scary. That's what I'm afraid. So that's what I mean when I say things like Trump secretly is not this person. He is just a greedy, avaricious kind of person.
Yeah. He supported
You know?
Hillary at one
My
point.
thing I don't
Yeah, he
like about
still
Trump,
supports Hillary. He's best
thing
friends
I
with him.
don't like about Trump is he said he's going to run this country like a business, and you know how he treats his businesses.
That's true. That's true.
Advocating for the guy, by the way. He's got a million issues.
Hold on.
And really, isn't politics already run like a business?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and you know, guys, I just want to say something if you don't mind. You know, see how when politics comes up and there's an election soon and all this, we have people all arguing and interrupting each other. See what it does to people like us when we all need to be on the same side. I feel like people are basically put between a rock and a hard place, or the spanking on the butt example with Quaid. I mean, they're put into this off situation which nobody wants to be in, and that is why I hate politics.
Well, Chandler, that's life, dude. I mean, like, look at any issue. You know, most issues you've got politics aside. People have different opinions. We have to. That's what tolerance and acceptance is about. Not everybody's the same.
Well, yeah,
I don't
you know,
think
that's
we are
the
on
thing
different
about it.
sides.
That's the thing about it, George, is I get what you're saying there. However, I'm not exactly an advocate of tolerance. I'm not really. I'm all about trying to educate people. Well, you know what? This is not right, and here's the better way. This is the way I advocate. To have something to stand for. And you know what? I even might be wrong about some issues.
Chandler, that's not what tolerance is about. Tolerance is about people who are different from you, not the people from people who are immoral. Tolerance is about, you know, like different races, different ethnicities, different customs.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I guess if you, by tolerance, you mean not being racist and nationalist, well, then sure, I'm tolerant because that's just bullshit. It really is.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think that we're all on different teams here. I think that the issue is that we all know what the bullseye is, and we all have different methods. We all have different opinions about
Practice of hitting the
how to get to that bullseye, or what the best method is to get to that bullseye. And we can,
Practice of hitting that bullseye, basically.
Yeah.
And the
Sorry?
surreal part of this is like none of this is up to us. You know, like however you want to describe what's running the show, you know, it seems to get a delight in this. You know, like just like, you know, this Tower of Babel stuff, just like pitting everybody against each other. That's bizarre.
Yeah, it is sort of like that because, and here's the thing that's important to remember, guys. What I would like to say is that, you know, although this isn't really an option, I'd vote for any one of you over either Trump or Hillary because one thing is that I know all you guys.
Oh, I'll vote for a cockroach before them.
Yeah, can't cause that much harm.
Guys, I mean, like, no, come on.
I would, yeah, I would vote for a
Hillary,
cockroach.
she's been Secretary of State. She's been a senator. She's been the wife of a president. She knows a bit more about the world.
How does being the wife of a president count for anything?
Oh, what do you think? You don't think that those 8 years like taught her a lot that like most candidates couldn't come near? She lived in the White House. You don't think Bill talked to her about everything? Trust me.
Maybe she
I even
learned
know
that
everything.
Yeah, but
only help
Bernie had
Well, not
like
everything.
stuff.
to make America destroyed even worse. You just never know. I don't think the intentions of either Hillary or Trump are good. I don't think with most politicians they
All
are.
right, so Chandler, so why do you think Hillary's intentions are not good?
I'll be back in 1 second. Give me like a minute. Figure it out. Sorry.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't even look. Here's the deal. I don't follow the news. I know my mom doesn't like Hillary, and I know that there's articles and
Unfortunately, my mom
people
voted
talking
for
in
Hillary
Facebook groups
over
about
Bernie.
illegal things that Hillary's done. So that's the thing. I don't even care to get into specifics, partly because I don't know the specifics.
But Chandler, that should tell you something. You're categorically rejecting her really without, just from hearsay. That's if you care about truth, think before you take a strong position without real knowledge.
Well, that's the thing, George. Here's the deal. There's okay now. I know this may sound kind of silly, but to a certain extent, a person only has so much time. You know what I'm saying? People have jobs to work, they have important issues to advocate, and you know what? I can't work my job and advocate the no free will message and help with my mom with everything. And every stupid time there's an election, find out the whole background and life history of each politician to know for sure which is the lesser of two
But
stupid.
Shayla, I don't blame
Oh,
you. Like,
yeah,
yes,
agree.
I wouldn't blame you if you didn't follow politics at all. But what I'm saying is, like, you're taking a very strong stand against Hillary, saying you would vote for
I'm
any of
not
us
taking a
rather than
strong stand against Hillary.
Chandler.
I'm not. I'm not.
You said you would vote for any of us here in this group rather than Hillary. That's a very strong stance against her. So in other words, like, you're doing
Any
this.
of you more than Trump either. I'm just look.
But that's
I
what I'm
know
saying. You're
I
doing that
don't
from an
understand. I
ignorant
have the right
standpoint.
to
If
trust
you
and
want to be truthful, you shouldn't be making these like, based on ignorant hearsay statements, these positions.
yeah, that's the thing about it. And here's the point, George. Is the truth is I do not have enough faith in system, and I don't believe it makes a difference enough to educate myself. And so you better be glad, George, that I don't vote. Because if it did make a difference, I can tell you I would make the wrong decision.
All right, but do you hear what I'm saying? Because like a lot of people, like they buy, for example, a lot of people don't believe that climate change is happening because they believe the Republicans. They believe the Republican lies. They believe the corporate lies. And the same thing happens with somebody like Hillary. Hillary has been championing the rights of children, has been championing basically the right causes all her life. But this machine,
George,
this disinformation machine from the Republican Party is so
George,
pervasive. You
it's
have
really
hold on.
strange
You've
that
got you've got like you've got these corporations like CNN, Fox News that are huge, funded by very rich people who the last thing they want to happen is Hillary elected, and they will pump in millions and millions of dollars into discrediting her with lies.
And I'm not
They
even
was
listening to
actually
those
doing
people.
that with Bernie when Bernie
Yeah,
was running against him.
yeah, George, you gotta understand. I don't listen to Fox News. I don't.
I
I don't.
really don't. I don't listen to Fox News either.
Yeah, neither does WSD. That's the thing. It's not anything personal that I have against Hillary any more than any other politician necessarily. I mean, come on. And seriously, George, all the candidates that will ever even be nominated are going to be pro-choice. And so that right there is enough to count me out of the game.
But I mean, like I'm very like I think we're all like extremely evil for how we treat animals.
That's
But like
right. So tell me, George, how do you vote to get who do you vote for to get meat banned? How do you do that?
Chandler, I vote the lesser of two evils, the greater of two goods. I realize that humanity isn't that state, but I know that if I'm out of politics completely, I can't help lead people in the right direction.
That's the thing, but if we go with lesser of two evils, maybe we should vote for Trump so that he could do something stupid and blow
Oh,
all of humanity up.
no.
Seriously, once you go down the road of lesser of two evils, I feel like it leads to some.
It's not just about the lesser of two evils. There's all the greater of two goods. Believe me, the Republican Party, that they are not concerned with you. They're concerned with the rich, with the super rich. The Democrats, go back to FDR, go back to like the
I
last
know the
8 years.
Republicans aren't concerned with me. None of these political parties
The
are.
Democrats, let me tell you something about the Democrats. They would do much more good if they would be sure that they could be elected doing it. But like, the morals of the country since Reagan have been so skewed to the right, so skewed against the interests of the people. The Democrats, like well-meaning Democrats, have had to come to the middle just to get elected, because this is the realities of our political system right now.
Yeah, and it's a little bit weird though. It's almost like to have to. I don't know. That seems kind of weird. Like you want to stand for something, but you can't because you have to get elected, and so getting elected becomes more important than the right thing.
Well, that's why it's so important to get money out of politics.
Exactly. I mean, I think we all agree with that. In fact,
Yep.
abolish the whole monetary system, go to resource
yeah,
based.
which Hillary isn't for?
Well, it's not like she's not for it. For example, like Hillary might completely understand that free will is an illusion.
There's
She would
reasons
be
to
out of her
believe it's not.
mind to
Right.
state that publicly. You know, you can't like just because like a
That's a
person,
maybe.
you know,
Those
huh?
are a lot of maybes. That's a
What?
maybe. It's a maybe that she believes in free. It's a maybe that she
No,
believes.
I'm saying I was just
It's a
saying that
maybe that
if
DNC politicians, if they could, would have much more progressive issues, but have to. Like these are not things that you can say are true.
Wait, no, what I'm saying is like if Hillary understood that free will is an illusion, there'd be no way that she'd admit to that politically because she'd be toast. You know,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
these are the realities of politics.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be like saying she's an atheist.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It would immediately disqualify her. It'd be like,
Donald Trump is an
saying
atheist.
you're a socialist or whatever.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting thing. Now, I feel like if I actually knew the detailed religious and philosophical beliefs of candidates, that would at least help inform me to know which was the lesser of two evils. You know,
Yeah, but you can't.
there's no way we could find that out, though. I don't think that they would want to reveal that kind of information.
There's a site called ontheissues.org. I mean, it might have the religious issues. It has like the candidates' positions on across the board, every major issue. You might have some religious beliefs in there.
Huh? Interesting.
I do have a
Well, like
free
you
will.
said, they wouldn't be able to say it even if they did think differently.
That's true. Yeah.
I do have a free will related idea. I know we got into an engaging topic about politics for some reason, but
Yeah, they did.
I wanted to examine the word choice.
Probably
You
started
know, when I
making
speak,
Trump a dickhead.
agreed, but
What?
I wanted. I think he said Trump's. I think Will said Trump's a dickhead. So
Oh yeah,
just,
unanimous.
But you know, free will believers often, like recently, in recent weeks, I've had discussions with free will believers who have said some of the same things. They've been saying things like, what do thoughts have to do with free will? So that I think could be a good topic because I think the most concrete way to refute free will is to investigate thoughts and actions. And people who think that thoughts have no relevance to the free will issue are those people who believe in free will. And people who think about thoughts often become free will skeptics. But another thing they've been saying a lot is choice. They like to say, I choose, I make decisions, it's still my choice, I make a choice. So I'd like to investigate like what a choice really is. I think that would be a good.
Oh yeah, that's a great.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Cool.
Yeah, that's good. After all that conversation, I have to go to the bathroom really bad, but after that we can do that. And one more thing, guys. I have a question about what we just did. Now I did have my recorder on, and I was just wondering.
You was recording that
Yeah.
the whole
Put
time?
it up
You
there.
were
Put it up
recording
there.
that?
Well,
Impersonal
yeah,
opinion.
I turn on because I sometimes before we even start a podcast, I like to turn on in case something interesting happens. And I was just wondering though, what if certain sections of that would be good for impersonal opinion?
Well, no,
Like,
don't. Chandler, if you're gonna put it up, don't edit it. I mean, like just put it up as part of impersonal opinions, like opinions about politics or whatever. But don't edit it, because like you know.
Yeah, I just want to say the first half of the recording we were just talking about the IFRO organization,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
but if I just did the section on the politics, basic, yeah, for an impersonal opinion, like
Yeah.
maybe.
Take out the not for profit stuff.
Yeah, and I can have you guys listen to it again and approve before I actually publish it.
Yeah, because I don't know if I really want to have that particular conversation on air.
I think it would be nice. Like here's my reasoning. I think it would be good for people to hear that, yeah, we have this disagreement on this issue here with lesser of two evils and politics and stuff. And I think it was a very powerful and enlightening conversation. And that's why I don't want it to be lost. You know what I'm saying? So I do think the conversation about the politics would be good for an impersonal opinion. So I may like upload it to my Dropbox and let you guys listen to it. I just want to make sure everyone's okay with it before I did it. But you know what I'm saying? Because I just think that'd be a good idea.
I'm fine with it.
Let it be a democracy. Do it up there, and if anybody, is everybody okay with the democracy? Like, maybe democracy in this case isn't the best. If one person objects too much, then I'm not sure we should do it. So, like, but if you want to do a democracy on this,
Yeah,
The
yeah.
only reason I'm a little bit opposed to it is because we didn't really get a chance to present like a central topic and two people, or two sides, I should say, give the pros and cons, and then
all right, that's not a good
it ends.
reason.
Huh?
Who cares?
No, no, no. I care. I care.
A lot of our best shows are like where we completely go off
I care.
topic.
I care because I think it doesn't present my views accurately. I think it's
Okay.
too.
All right, that's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, it was. I mean, pretty much. Like, I agree with George on some things, but I mean, Chandler and Mitch, you guys agreed, and I agree with you on a lot of things. So he was really in the minority of the group. If anybody's ideas
I'm back.
were represented, it would have been George's.
Yeah, I'm in the minority like for decades, so that's all right.
Yeah, I mean, I just think
If you
that
feel like
it
it's
would be.
represented, right, it's correct.
Yeah, I think because we had our disagreements and stated why we disagree with things, it was a very good conversation.
But Mitch, you don't want it up then?
Let me think about it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you'll be able to listen to it again before you make up your mind completely.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna end the recording and then use the restroom, and then we'll start on the word choice and all that stuff.